Hey everyone, it's Gloria with Glory Be Resale, and I'm here to do a what sold from May 26th to the 28th. And the first thing to sell on eBay was this Charlie's Angels Season 5 publicity photo with Jacqueline Smith, Cheryl Ladd, and Tanya Roberts. And this sold for $12.86. The cost to me was about $1. The next item to sell was this vintage gold tone metal mesh belt, and this sold for $20, and the cost to me was $1. Sorry about that, I was not prepared for that. The next item to sell was this Kate gray jersey embroidered floral top, and this sold for $21.25, and the cost to me was $1. The next item to sell was this Rachel Zoe striped white 100% linen front tie long coat robe, and this sold for $25, and the cost to me was $3.25. The next item to sell was this vintage antique Walter Baker's and Company Ltd breakfast cocoa, half a pound can from Dorchester, Massachusetts, which is where I was born, and that sold for $14.84. The cost to me was $1. The next item to sell was this Cato multicolor striped 100% cotton top, and this sold for only $10. Somebody sent me an offer and I was like, yeah, let me get rid of it. I paid 99 cents, so I still made a profit, but I just didn't want to hang on to it. The next item to sell was this vintage lot of three ball mason jars, and these sold for $17, and the cost to me on them was $3. The next item to sell was this Free People long sleeve mini dress. This I took an offer of $18, which was very low, but I've had it a long time. I paid $7.99 for this back in Boston, so I wanted to get my money back. I took an offer of $18. I'm not sure where this stands because the person did get a refund. I don't know. I did put in a claim with eBay. I don't know if they're paying me out or what, but she was in Hawaii. It took a long time to get there, and I don't blame her, but that's also out of my control. It's the post office. And it's my understanding from talking to people in Hawaii, sometimes if it's a ground advantage, it's not priority. If it lands on the dock and the ship went out yesterday, you've got to wait for that ship to fill up before that one goes over to Hawaii, and it can take up to a month. It's not the usual, but it can. So anyway, she got a refund and then it came to her the next day. So we'll see how that goes. Um, the next item was this Chico's black snakeskin print belt. And this sold for the full asking. No, it didn't. I'm a liar. This sold for $20 and it cost me $2.99. The next item was this welcome aboard uh, natural wood sign that said for a nautical look, wood rope trim on it. So anyway, this sold for the full asking price of $24, and the cost to me on this was $1. The next item to sell was this Hannah embroidered top, and this I sent out an offer of $22.40, and they accepted it. The cost to me on it was $4.99. The next item was this vintage Celtic carved wood cross with the lamb. I don't know if you can see it there, but there's a lamb in the middle. And this sold for $28, and the cost to me on it was $4. The next item was this vintage lucite hot plate with the coffee beans and so forth in it. And this sold for $25, the full asking price, and the cost to me on it was $4. The next item to sell was this Talbot's Petites long sleeve monkey print shirt. You see it there, there's little monkeys and pink trees. Very cute. And this sold for the full asking price of $25. Cost to me on it was $3. The next item to sell was this vintage Holton Farms um, milk bottle. On one side it said Holton Farm, on the other side it said Attend Church. And that sold for $25. Cost to me on it was 99. Oops, wrong thing. The cost to me on this was $2, and it sold for this sold for the whole full asking price of $29. Sorry about that, I mixed it up with something else. Next item was this flax look striped jacket, and this sold for the full asking price of $35. Cost to me on it was $6.49. The next item to sell was this Relativity 100% linen utility jacket, lightweight, button front, and this sold for $18. Cost to me on it was $3.25. The next item was this Honda Goldwing motorcycle long sleeve, and that sold for $25. The cost to me on it was 99¢. The next item on Posh is this REQ one button linen floral jacket with this was new with tags, and this sold for $20. The cost to me on it was $3.25. The next item to sell was this vintage 80s teacher's chore jacket, and this sold for $35, and the cost to me on it was $6.49. The next item to sell was this Chico's multicolor burnout parrot beach cover up. It was very pretty. And this sold for $30. Cost to me was $6.49. The next item was this vintage wooden spice rack, and that sold for $30, and the cost to me on it was $4. The next item was this Massimo Dutti 100% linen blue shirt, and this sold for $50. The cost to me on it was $9.99. The next item to sell was this Massimo Dutti blue linen jacket with waist tie, and this sold for $55. I took it off for 55, so it just didn't update on this one for some reason. But it sold for $55 and I paid $9.99. The next item to sell over on Etsy was this chicken basket, and this sold for $25, and the cost to me on it was $1. The next item on Etsy was this vintage George bent um, little footstool that from the 70s with the plaid tweed cover. This sold for $165.75. And I paid $10 for that, so that was a nice sale. And I had bought two of them at the time, so I still have one. The next item to sell was this vintage pennies sheet, and this sold for $20 pretty quickly. And I just bought that recently at a yard sale for $3. And that, mm, I also got this metal bird on a wire necklace holder. This sold for the $29, and the cost to me on it was $3.99. And that is everything I sold over those 2 weeks from May 26th to June 8th. So I hope your sale's doing great. And if you wouldn't mind, like and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. I hope that your sales are doing well. And hopefully we'll continue on through the summer. This wasn't too bad. I started doing them 2 weeks at a time because these videos don't seem to be as popular. But I do like to give you what the sales are that I'm actually making. And they're not bad for June. So anyway, I will see you next time and I hope you have fantastic sales. Thanks and bye.